Hello there, and welcome back. I've got my book, so shall we? Why group treatment? That's a question mark at the end of the thing, right? That's why I've done the old rising inflection thing. Right, shall we? The treatment of individuals in groups is the method of choice by transactional analysts. Is this good or bad? Is the treatment of individuals in a group bargain basement psychiatry? Maybe people react to the word group as they reacted to Franklin Roosevelt's term, the common man. Admittedly, I don't know actually much about that, so there'll probably be something on the screen about that. Who wants to be common? Who wants to be depersonalised into a statistic or into mere membership in a group? What goes on in group treatment? What goes on in group treatment using transactional analysis? One common impression is that in group treatment, people come to express feelings, to get it out of their system, if you will, tell other people what they think of them, and anything goes. In fact, many writings about group treatment have encouraged this point of view. S.R. Slabson, one of the pioneers in the development of group treatment methods, stated in his book, The Practice of Group Therapy, that the chief and common value of the group is that it permits acting out of instinctual drives, which is accelerated by the catalytic effect of the other members. There is less caution and greater abandon in the group when the members find support in one another, and the fear of self-revelation is strikingly reduced. As a result, patients will feel their problems more easily, and therapy is speeded up. Defenses are diminished, Defenses are diminished, the permissiveness of the total environment and the example set by others allow each to let go with decreased self-protective restraint. Although groups lessen the defences of adults as well, this is particularly true of children and adolescents. Free acting out and talking through yields satisfaction. At the same time, it brings patients face to face with their problems quite early in treatment. The defences against injury to one's self-esteem are also reduced. The friendly group climate and the mutual acceptance do not require one to be on the defensive, though. All have the same or similar problems, and no negative reactions are anticipated by anyone. Status is assured. There is no fear of retaliation or debasement. End of quote, by the way. In my own clinical experience, I have not been able to validate the above statement. Allowing the child to act out its own instinctual impulses and play games at random in the treatment group is a waste of the group's time and invasion of the rights and purposes of each individual group member. If permitted to continue, it sabotages the therapeutic contract of transactional analysis until each member has at least started to free his adult self-revelation. The confessional will contribute very little, if anything, towards the curing of individuals in the group. Treatment is speeded only by keeping the adult in charge. Only the adult can spot the child or the parent. The feeling problems is an invitation to play. Why don't you? Yes, but. Expressing feelings and talking through may yield satisfactions to the parent and the child, as in everyday life, but in the treatment group, such transactions interfere with the acquisition of basic understandings and concepts essential to achieving an emancipated adult. There is no magic in the word group, though, since in its initial phase, transactional analysis is a teaching-learning experience. The group setting has several distinct advantages over the traditional one-to-one setting of individual treatment. Everything that is said in the group needs to be seen and heard by every other member of the group. Every question, every answer, every transaction. The subtle and multiple ways the parent reveals itself in transactions needs to be identified and learned. Both the inner and outer threats to the child need to be recognised in a general sense at first, then the unique and specific characteristics of the child in each individual in the group. There is a mutual confrontation of games of realities, where you live, which is quite different from the essentially seclusive and permissive ear in one-to-one therapies. In group treatments, people are seen in the most natural milieu. Milieu? It's spelled M-I-L-I-E-U, and that's mostly a note to myself so I can put the word on screen. Involved with other people. instead of all by themselves in a separateness that can never be duplicated on the outside. The primary benefit of treating people in groups when transactional analysis is that they move faster towards getting well, starting to live, beginning to see and feel what is real, or growing up. However, the individual's goal in treatment might be expressed. At the end of an exciting hour in the group, one member said, "I feel like I'm 10 feet tall." Excuse me, it's hard to get comfy at the moment. Before this primary benefit is examined, however, it may be well to point to the answer group treatment provides to the widely acknowledged high cost of individual treatment and the disparity between the number of people who need help and the number of people available to give it. We live in an age of cost and time consciousness. We are surrounded by a sense of urgency to help people in trouble, many people in trouble. In finding a solution, we must examine one of the principal criticisms of psychiatric treatment. It costs too much. It takes too long for the uncertain results achieved. We cannot dismiss this criticism simply by countering with the judgment that people who hold this view do not have realistic priorities. As for example, the individual in real trouble who sees his solution in owning a new model car rather than seeking much needed help. Now, I've actually mentioned things like this before. That brand new car will give you a bit of a dopamine kick, which is always nice, but it won't last. It won't last until you truly fix yourself up here, people, alright? Up here. I hurt myself actually with that last one. So, we shall carry on. Sorry for the camera wobbling, people. There are many people today who, although they may wholly accept the idea that mental health is important, still have not the means to add the burden of long-term psychiatric treatment to their already consumptive costs of living. In this category fall many of the middle class and all those in low-income groups. Is mental health for the wealthy? Psychiatric treatment, as I heard a physician colleague define it recently, a luxury? For many people it sadly is a luxury. For many people these things are just out of reach financially. Of course, there are many countries in Europe that will offer, psychiatric help or similar things to those who can't necessarily afford it, if they feel it is, impeding on their life as such. But not all. So in a way, it is a luxury still. Or can many more people be helped by group treatment? Can psychiatric care be considered as realistic a part of the treatment as emergency surgery? Dr. Leonard Schatzman, a medical sociologist at the University of California Medical Center in 1966, completed a field study of 15 medical centers over a period of 8 years, concentrating on psychiatrists and their staffs. He observed in an article in 1966 published in the San Francisco Chronicle, the elder one-to-one medical treatment for the wealthy and the efficient neglect of the masses of the poor are no longer seen as adequate. Upgraded populations today are demanding more psychiatric goods and services. The psychoanalytically oriented psychiatrist sticks close to his office, provides personal service to a limited clientele, and has to deal with wealthier people in order to cover the cost of his operations. Good, bad, or indifferent, the service is tailored to the client, and with great pride and finesse. Who is buying tailor-made suits? Who's regularly dining in gourmet restaurants with candlelight and wine? Who's driving custom-made cars? The treatment of individuals in groups can reduce treatment costs to the point where most wage earners can afford it. Has been my experience also that group treatment using transactional analysis has reduced the duration of treatment, which has also resulted in a reduction in cost to the patient. A third factor is that the contract for treatment and the procedures used are so specific that I believe this treatment format would be insurable on a large scale. We can buy insurance to provide our children education. It would seem that we can ensure a special kind of education about behaviour also. More important than these considerations, however, is the fact that in my experience individuals get well faster in group treatment using transactional analysis than in the traditional one-to-one treatment relationship. By get well, I mean achieving the goal stated in the initial hour contract, one of which is the alleviation of the presenting symptom, example, marriage breaking up, fatigue, headaches, job failure, etc. And the other of which is to learn to use parent-adult-child accurately and effectively. One measurement of the patient's cure is whether or not he can report what happened in any transaction in a way understandable to others in the group. If someone tells me he was in therapy for a long period of time and it was very helpful, yet cannot answer my question what happened in therapy, do not feel he has achieved mastery over his own actions. Oh, I see. It's the old, if you can't explain it, then you don't actually understand it thing. See, I know stuff. Applicable here is the Aristotelian, as in Aristotle, I presume, idea that which is expressed is impressed. If a patient can put into words why he did what he did and knows how he stopped doing it, then he is cured, in that he knows what the cure is and can use it again and again. Once a patient has learned the fundamentals of PAC, you can see the transactional analysis group as something much different from that which he is conditioned to see by his parent and child. It may have been taught early not to wash your dirty linen in front of others, or don't give out the family secrets. This comes through as a clearly recorded tape from the parent. The child, on the other hand, wants to floor the whole hour in an ongoing game of poor me. An individual who wants to play confession, psychiatry, ain't it awful, and it's all him. So he finds no one in the group cares to play with him. The role of the therapist is that of a teacher, trainer, and resource person with heavy emphasis on involvement. The group is the setting of activity, involvement, and movement with sustained permission for laughter to provide a relaxing release from any tendency to see the experience as a grim business indeed. I hope you understand this, people. I really do. The goal for each member of the parent, adult, child group is clear, concise, and easily stated. To cure the patient by freeing his adult from the troublemaking influences and demands of his parent and child. The goal is achieved by teaching each member of the group how to recognize, identify, and describe the parent, adult, and child as each appears in transactions in the group. Since the essential characteristic of the group is that of teaching, learning, and analysing, the effectiveness of a transactional analyst rests in his enthusiasm and ability as a teacher and his alertness in keeping abreast of every communication or signal in the group, verbal or otherwise. In the setting of the group, the parent appears in a multitude of ways. The wagging index finger, raised eyebrows, pursed lips, or statements such as, "Don't you agree? Everybody knows that." They say, "After all, I'm going to get to the bottom of this once and for all." Excuse me. The child also makes its appearance in easily recognised ways, such as crying, laughing, coyness, nail biting, fidgeting, withdrawal, and sulking, in addition to the variety of child games such as Poor Me, Ain't It Awful, and There I Go Again. The members of the group are supportive of the not okay child in another member and seldom in parent and fashion. Accuses an activated child. Instead, there is a sympathetic approach such as, "I can see your child is hurt. Why is that?" Or, "Can you tell me what hooked your child?" Through multitudes of transactions in the group, the patients quickly begin to fill in the gaps of information about each other's parent, adult, and child. This is a team evaluation, not of data long since buried, but of observable data that manifests itself in the open. Today, in transactions that involve each other, the team is made up of participants, however, and not of antiseptic observers called a treatment team. Few patients will tolerate the team approach, and few psychiatrists can justify it to their parents, says Avram Jacobson, Director of Psychiatry at the Jersey Shore Medical Center. Clinics, however, continue to evaluate parents via the team approach. This is a quarterly length process for the patient involving a ritual of data gathering by the caseworker and testing by the psychologist that contributes very little to the psychiatrist's clinical impression. The time he must spend in conference listening to all the reports so carefully gathered over a period of several weeks could be more usefully spent in direct contact with the patient. And that, people, is where this video ends tonight. Because, we got more to do. And my throat is starting to feel it a little bit. So until next time, people, take care of yourselves, alright? Bye.